realistic boxing. Forget fancy footwork. Forget everything you thought you knew about combat because this is Kung Fu. Where two 500-pound gorillas go head-to-head in the most tumultuous boxing showdown on Earth. These primitive apes have absolutely no sportsmanship and are willing to sucker punch you in the back, kick each other in the head, or invent brand new moves that probably shouldn't be legal in boxing. In an online multiplayer, you can take your friends to the Gorilla Pound where they belong. But to truly understand this remarkable game, we have to go back to the beginning. In the beginning, there was nothing. Then God said, "Let there be gorillas." Great. Now, let's get him to stand up. I don't know if you ever thought about this before, but standing up is hard. No, really, it is. Try making a table that only stands on two legs. It's impossible. It took nature millions of years to figure this out, so I had to simplify things. Instead of dealing with all that balance nonsense, I just cheated and applied a force directly to his pelvis to lift him off the ground. Well, we succeeded in getting his pelvis off the ground, but now we gotta fix the rest of his body. All I gotta do is add a rotational force and he should pick himself right up.
What the hell? No, that's not what it looks like.
With a few more helping forces, I was finally able to get him to stand up properly. Well, I guess it depends what you call properly. To make his feet appear somewhat useful, I made them bob up and down to make it look like he's walking on them, even if he really isn't. But just like that, we've achieved stability, and I think it's a great foundation for adding punching. To make his hands actually punch, I made it so that left click applies a force to his left glove, and right click does the same to the right glove. There's also a stabilizing counter force added to his chest, because without this, his gloves just yank him across the map, and he can even fly, which is obviously wrong. There's one more mechanic I want to add, the body slam. Oh yeah, that's satisfying. The forces involved here literally draw and quarter him so that he'll spread out into this belly flop pose. Next I added a punching bag, breakable boxes, bustable walls, and throwable boulders, and it really started to feel like this monkey had some power behind him. Even though it didn't make it into the final game, I did actually make a climbing mechanic, and I gotta say, it's one of the most ridiculous climbing forms I've ever seen. I even got it to work with moving objects, and now you can swing like Tarzan even if it's only from this giant cube. Since gorillas live in the tropical rainforest, I wanted the game to look the part. So I grabbed a jungle panorama and slapped it onto a giant screen in the background, which works when you look this way, but not when you look straight up. I covered up the holes with a bunch of trees, but you could still kind of see through it. So I decided to add a blinding amount of light to the player so that way they can't see it even if they try. These are called God rays, and they require an insane amount of computation to get working. I did some research and discovered that it's actually possible to fake it in screen space instead of 3D space, which is so much simpler. I found a package on Unity that does this for you automatically, but it costs $30, and I'm not about to get ripped off here. So despite having never seen shader code before in my life, I resolved to make one from scratch. After that transpired, the resulting algorithm was actually kind of cool. Start with the depth pass, apply a threshold, multiply it out at various scales, and then we composite it over the main render. It came out pretty good, and does a great job filling all the holes. Next, I created a primitive boxing ring out of bamboo, rope, and dirt, and surrounded it with grass. As a nice finishing touch, I found a cool primitive hut model online and dropped it in the corner. Side note, while editing this video, I discovered that this HUD is available for free on CG Trader where I got it, but it also cost $19 on this similar website called RenderHub, and they were both uploaded on the same day, July 26, 2020. So I don't know who copied who or what's going on here, but I do know that I didn't pay a cent, and now it's in my game. Now that the environment's done, it's time to finally add the opponent's gorilla. I started by duplicating the main gorilla, gave him a different color palette, and then making a script to replace the keyboard and mouse controls. Just as I was getting started, I had a really interesting problem. In order to get good at this game, you have to kind of coordinate your entire body together, and translating this into computer code is extremely hard. Suppose your right arm is dangling behind you like this, and you want to punch with it. If you click right now, the glove will just punch your own back, so you have to step to the left to let your arm swing out a little bit, and then punch for a better swing. This type of muscular coordination is easy for us living creatures, but extremely difficult for robots. This is probably why Tesla bots still walk like they just crapped their pants. The obvious solution is to train an AI, but I decided to postpone that because the project was already starting to run behind schedule. So instead, I did something simpler. I just had him punch and jump around randomly, which you would think would result in really chaotic and stupid behavior, but it turned out to work much better than that. It's not impossible to beat, but it definitely provides some challenge. I added a quick touch where the gorillas look at each other dead in the eye during the fight, which I thought was really funny, especially when they stand right up close to each other like this. Oh yeah. I added health bars, and when it reaches 0, you don't just fall over, you get launched across the ring like you just got hit by a truck. The ref starts his countdown, and he's voiced by professionally renowned voice actor, me, pitched down a little bit. Now's probably a good time to talk about that slow-mo effect. The distortion bubble is made by combining two things, the scene color node and a Fresnel effect. Using my knowledge from the God Ray shader, I also created a radial blur. And while I was testing it, I was playing around with the settings, and I accidentally created the multi-dimensional library from Interstellar. And that sound. That glorious noise is made from one single sound effect. To make it, all you have to do is literally take any short impact sound and pitch it down a ridiculous amount. Now it's time to add an audience of chimps. I found another free model in CG Trader and opened it up in Blender, which nearly crashed my computer. Why? Because there's 4 million vertices in it. Now, I'm not Michelangelo, okay? I don't care about details this small, so I trimmed it down using the decimate modifier and managed to bring the vertex count down to just 3,000. And since it didn't come with textures, I guess that means we have to do it ourselves. I found this picture of a chimp face and plastered it over his face, and it's gonna be in the background, so no one's gonna see it. For the rest of his body, I actually just reused the face texture. Like this? No. Hands, upper lip. Feet, upper lip. Ears, upper lip. Butt cheeks, upper lip. Rest of his body, head hair. There we go. This monstrosity is now done. Now I just need to add some animations. I quickly rigged him up doing various things to reflect different levels of excitement. The 6 levels are, in increasing order, standing, one-arm pump, clapping, double pump, jumping, and the highest of them all, going ape shit. I took apart the primitive hut model from before and repurposed its parts to make bleachers for them to stand on. I found some audience sound effects online and combined them with an assortment of monkey noises. The Chimp Audience dynamically responds to the happenings of the boxing match. If you just stand around a while and do nothing, eventually they stop and stand still. But after knockouts, they go absolutely ballistic. I added a pause menu, which you would think would be simple enough, but somehow I messed it up. If you pause during a slow-mo and then wait a bit and unpause, the game will be permanently in slow motion. Next thing I wanted to add was a replay. You might think that this is also really simple. All you have to do is just have a bunch of cameras recording at once, and then just pick between them after the fact. It turns out that it's extremely computationally expensive to record, compress, and save videos. Even with just one camera at quarter game resolution, trying to record and save a video was slowing down my computer bad. So instead, I opted to have a script record the positions of the limbs of each gorilla every frame and use that information to recreate the match exactly as it happened. It has another advantage as well, which is that I can put the camera wherever I want and show any angle, which is kinda cool. Next, I made some music for the game. To create the right feel, I combined the primitive tribal nature of drums, flutes, and bongos with big dance beats that I associate with boxing events. Let's hop into the editor to show you what I mean. So here we are in FL Studio. Let's start here with the doombak and 2 bongo patterns. Up here we have the flute part, and together they make up the tribal component of the song. Over here we have this pattern called electro box. Then there are also the synth bass and rhythmic patterns. And then when you put it all together, this makes the menu music and it sounds like this. The other 2 tracks in the game follow a pretty similar pattern, but there's just one more thing I want to show you, which is that in the boxing track, I added Mongolian throat singing and Native American tribal chants. And once they were done, it's time for playtesting. Oh, he caught up. He caught up. Wait, you're going down. You're going down. It's
no,
close.
no!
Oh.
I'm a natural talent.
Wait, is that it? Did you just lose? Oh my god.
Wait, I lost? No!
I think you lost.
Oh, that's so sick!
Oh fuck! You just put his dick in my face.
Are you not entertained?
I need some movement, man.
they will move.
They're standing there.
Because nothing's happening.
Menacingly.
Everything went well, but I kept hearing the same thing. And I think my friend Jake put it the best.
You should add multiplayer, cause like, this game's not fun unless I can beat up my friend and call him a bitch.
Now that word, multiplayer, fills me with dread. All game devs know the horror of programming netcode. It's truly a miserable experience. I've tried doing it once before, but I found it so frustrating that I gave up before I could get anything working. But my programming skills have improved a lot since then, so I decided to give it another try. One of the reasons I didn't like it before was that you have to use 2 computers to test it. To transfer the code from one machine to the other, you have to build and export it, compress it, put it on a flash drive, transfer the flash drive to the other computer, extract on the other computer, open it up, and connect them in a new server, all just to test a single feature. This whole process took like 2 minutes, and since I typically test stuff every few minutes or so, you can see how this seriously bogs down your workflow. I did this for about a week, and then I realized that I'm a complete idiot because I could just use GitHub. With GitHub, you can just send the code through the internet instead, which only takes a few seconds instead of minutes, which means that all the time I spent before was completely wasted. Side note, every time you send your code, you have to add a little message, and I took some creative liberties with mine. God, this is so frustrating. Wow, I can't believe that worked. Oh my god, I'm so done with this shit already. Fuck you, netcode. And my personal favorite, fuck you, netcode, you fucking piece of shit. Once that was in place, I started by following this tutorial online by CodeMonkey, which was an incredibly helpful start. Oh my god, I cannot thank this man enough. I was able to get 2 players to spawn on 2 different computers, which was already an improvement from my last attempt. I added a host and join lobby system and turned that primitive hut from before into the waiting room for the match. Everything was going suspiciously well, but that's when I got the most irritating error message I have ever received. Normally, error messages tell you 2 things. What went wrong, like you forgot a semicolon, and the line number where the problem happened. This message told me neither of those things, which means in order to find it, I'd have to comment out code piece by piece until it disappears. You better believe I spent hours upon days doing this, but soon enough, I was able to narrow it down to this single line. And you want to know what the fix was? Why couldn't the compiler tell me that? Ah! And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, that's when the spazzening happened. The gorillas spazzed and spazzed and spazzed again. This was one of those moments where I reached out for help from a superstar programmer known throughout the industry as Claude. It's an AI programming companion, and it was super helpful a lot of the time. Notice I said a lot of the time and not all the time, and that's because sometimes its suggestions were complete bonkers. For example, one time I told it what I was struggling with, and it suggested that I add a line of code here at line 47. I did what he suggested, but it didn't work. So he asked to see the rest of the code file, and when I showed him, he said there was an unnecessary line, which just so happened to be the exact one that he added 2 seconds ago. But, I mean, besides little hiccups like that, it was actually genuinely very helpful. Once the online multiplayer code was robust enough, I invited all my friends to test it via a tournament. I distributed the game, and as you might expect, everything broke.
Hang on, I'm trying to create a lobby and it says not ready.
I don't see a lobby.
It turns out that since Kung Fu wasn't released yet, Steam was refusing to set up lobbies for it. So, I changed some numbers to trick Steam into thinking that they were all playing the Birdminton demo, which was released, and by some miracle, it worked. Now we can start the first match, and everything went, well...
Hold on. Let me share my screen.
Wait, you don't see me?
No.
You don't see the black gorilla?
No.
Oh,
that's good. Oh, that's really good.
Need this.
Oh, it fixed itself. Just go.
Oh, yeah.
Go.
After that incident, everything went pretty smoothly. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Why did you run into her?
Oh my god!
A lot of tough damage.
There's so much slow-mo.
Oh my god! Where did he go? Where you are?
And are you Thistle or Solar Man?
Yes.
That doesn't answer the
Oh.
Oh! I got hit there! God damn it!
Oops, I messed up your name. Just gotta
Lucky's
type
done
it in.
69.
Or maybe I'll just. How about this? How about a little P?
Yeah, that works. You should leave a space there too.
Yeah, leave it.
Get rid of the letter. We don't need it.
Yeah.
I'm a host,
Saucy
by the way.
Stew.
Soxu went all the way to finals against Boolmaster and continued to lose letters in his name along the way. In order to win the tournament, he had to beat Bool twice, just like a normal double elimination. He succeeded in the first match and even won the first round of the second match, but then things got really tense.
It's gotta be last minute to pick
He's
up.
down, he's down, he's down!
Bool had nearly 0 health. All it would take was a single hit for him to lose the round.
Me, I'm
Okay,
down.
can you get
You
up?
got this. You can get up. You can get up. Get that third one.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the strat.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh,
Third one.
this
Just
is
one
it,
hit.
this is it!
One hit.
Damn.
Bool just barely skated by and won that round, leading to the final match. Saucy had the round in the bag, but suddenly Bool unleashed his inner fury.
Not
shit.
damn.
Oh my goodness!
Oh.
Oh my goodness, he almost brought it back.
But he just ran out of time, which means that wins.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
let the replay run out.
GG.
I'm gonna let the replay run out. GG. I am Mango.
Convinced by the success of the tournament, I decided it was time to release the game to the world. Today, as this video goes live, you can get the game on Steam for $4. But don't fret. For you ultimate cheapskates like me, there's a launch sale for the first 2 weeks, so it'll only cost $3. Now, in order for you and your friends to play together, you actually both have to buy the game, which I'm not happy with. I tried working this out with Steam, and they told me there was no way for this to work, unless I use DLC or in-app purchases, which I thought was gross. So, since this is my first ever attempt at making online multiplayer, I'm anticipating there being a ridiculous amount of bugs. Just do your best not to abuse the game, and I'm sure nothing will go wrong. There was a lot of stuff that I had to scrap. For instance, the obvious thing like customization, more maps, or even other game modes like Royal Rumble, King of the Hill, or Boulder mode, where you can only attack by throwing boulders. I also had this idea to have an Escape the Zoo mission where you escape your local gorilla exhibit and take on an increasing number of zookeepers with increasing strength of weapons who are trying to catch you. So like, they start with a net on the stick and eventually get tranquilizer darts. But we'll see. Get the game for $3 while it lasts. I'll see you in the next one.